Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, and we're going to be discussing its 2024 halving year returns. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the sale on Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, right now, Bitcoin's coming in just above $96,000, and I want to take a moment to sort of assess what's happened this year by Bitcoin and what does it look the most similar to? So, one of the things we can look at here is the pattern that Bitcoin has had this year is essentially it had a move up at the beginning of the year. After that initial move up, right after this initial move up, it then had a 6 to 9 month lull. We called for a 6 to 9 month lull, ended up being about 7 to 8 months, followed by a Q4 rally. Okay, now this pattern is almost identical to what we saw last year. It's not exact because last year we did see Bitcoin put in a slightly higher high in the summer, whereas this year it didn't. But you essentially got sort of a brief period where the market cooled off and then a move up at the end of the year. The major part of the move was over by April. This past year, the major part of the move was over by March. Okay. So what's really interesting though is if you look at the year-to-date ROI of Bitcoin in 2024 and compare it to 2023, it almost looks like the exact same thing. Right? It really does. It almost looks like the exact same thing where even quantitatively, I mean, qualitatively, they look really similar, but quantitatively, the ROI of Bitcoin at the end of 2023, as measured from the yearly open, was 2.65x. Right now, Bitcoin is up about 2.14x from the yearly open in 2024. So it looks very similar. Okay. Now, you can, of course, compare 2024 to other years, but I don't think you'll find one that compares to 2023. I don't think you'll find a year that compares to 2024 as well as 2023 does. If for instance, you compare it to the bear market years, 2022, 2020, 2018, and 2014, obviously those look a lot different. If you compare 2024 to post halving years like 2013, 2017, and 2021, the only one that looks somewhat similar could be 2021. 2013 and 2017 obviously look quite a bit different. Now, if you isolate 2021 and 2024, there certainly are some similarities, but one of the main differences is that in 2021, Bitcoin really started to go down in November, and in 2024, Bitcoin was going up during that same period. So, I've also made the comparisons to prior halving years, 2020, 2016, and 2012. And one of the things we've looked at as well is if you just simply take the average of the prior halving years and compare it to 2024. If you do that, you get something that looks like this, where it was tracking the average for a while, but then recently it fell off some, right? It fell off some. So, what I think is that it's more so looking like what it did in 2023 rather than, say, the average of prior halving years. Because in 2023, Bitcoin also sort of fell off a little bit into December and then picked back up again at the very end of it. But mostly the gains were over by early December back in 2023. Makes me think we're seeing something again here in 2024. One of the things you'll notice in 2023 is Bitcoin kind of hit a short-term top in early December. It did wick above that level, but for all intents and purposes, Bitcoin really didn't durably go higher until February. You're almost seeing something similar happen this time where Bitcoin hit this high the week of mid-December, and it was sort of it had almost hit that price already, but you could argue that it really got up to its level here in early December, and it's only barely gone above it. So it still does seem very similar to that move right there, right? Where it gets this impulsive move after a Q3 drop below the bull market support band, right? You see that Q3 here, Q3 2023, Q3 2024, followed by a Q4 rally that kind of stalls out as you get into December. You see that? So it very much feels familiar to us because this is exactly what happened last year, essentially. And furthermore, what's interesting about this move is we obviously spent a lot of time looking at Bitcoin through the lens of Bitcoin dominance. When you look at this move, even dominance is doing something similar. Because as Bitcoin made this move in 2023, once it broke out, that marked sort of a local top by dominance. Now look at it over here, right? When it broke out, that basically marked a local top by dominance. But then as Bitcoin USD consolidated over here, Bitcoin dominance started to bounce around a little bit. You see that? It seems like it's doing the same thing this year as well. So I just think that a lot can be learned from Bitcoin's cyclical behavior. And it seems like we're kind of in this phase right here, right? Where we are consolidating about the same distance from from the 20-week SMA, right? If you look at the natural log of the price over the 20-week SMA, simple moving average, what you'll see is that in late 2023, Bitcoin extended beyond the 20-week moving average about the same amount, a little bit less than it was this time. And then it got closer to the 20-week SMA as we got further into December and into January. So it seems like something like that is potentially happening again here, where the market isn't really moving a whole lot, arguably because the market's waiting for the bull market support band to sort of get closer to the current prices, and also to wait for potentially some of the uncertainty that that accompanies post halving years, right? When you get sort of a change in administrations, politics and whatnot. Historically, in fact, Bitcoin has even had a correction in January of post-halving years, right? January 2021, Bitcoin had a 30 to 40% correction. And then January of 2017, Bitcoin had a 30 to 40% correction that took it back to the bull market support band. So it's interesting because we saw that in the last two Januaries. Maybe you'll see it once again. But again, as you think about, Bitcoin and its, what does it look like the most? There are some similarities with 2016, right? Basically 2016 year-to-date ROI topped out at 2.3x. So far, Bitcoin this year went up to about 2.36x, at least on daily closes. So that's somewhat similar. But even when you look at this move here, you can see that early on in the year, Bitcoin sort of diverged from what it did in 2016. Whereas if you compare it to 2023, it almost looks like a carbon copy. So I just wanted to touch base here with Bitcoin in the halving year, and hopefully people can kind of figure out or look to see where they think we are in the current cycle, in the current market cycle. And just kind of follow along with what happened last year. How did dominance behave at this point last year? And once we get into next year, maybe a little bit later this year, we'll talk more about the post-halving year. But anyways, guys, if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. And again, check out the sale on Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. You can look at all sorts of charts like this one, obviously, but for a lot of different cryptocurrencies and stocks and indices and commodities, etc. Well, we got thousands of different crypto charts, and we got macro charts and stock charts, and the list goes on and on. So make sure you guys check it out. Links in the description below, and make sure you check out that sale and lock in the low rate. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.